The title is, well, one of the big conceit of the book is that the narrator's father invented it, and it's a way of speaking that his father invented that incorporates the best and most interesting things from all the languages into French, and causes French to become very, very manipulative. So he can do anything he wants. He can make people do anything he wants. And the son learned it from his father, but he was drunk and high, and he didn't learn it very well. And the book is written in TheMarbled Swarm, his bad version of TheMarbled Swarm. So that's the name that his father gave it. It's like if bees come at you, it's a swarm. Yeah. In French, doesn't have that anymore, I guess. Because he's trying to seduce the reader, he's trying to use his marbled swarm on the reader. So he's trying to, he keeps talking throughout the book about how the marbled swarm works and how he's able to make people, do things for him through the way he speaks, and how his father did that with him. And so he's basically like playing a game with the reader. So, he's saying like, he's saying I'm using the marbled swarm on you right now, and this is how the marbled swarm works, but I don't know how to do it very well. So it's all a game. It's like what he's saying is a game to hide things and reveal things, and you have to sort of really pay attention, I think, to sort of have an idea of when he's telling the truth and when he's not telling the truth. But it's just. It's all about the marbled swarm. The entire book is about this way of speaking and how it obfuscates things and turns things into tricks and manipulations and things. So he speaks in that way because that's the way the book is affecting the reader, and that's how you're supposed to pay attention to it. Is you're supposed to know you're reading the marbled swarm and sort of try to have a sense of the marbled swarm, and then try to figure out. It's like a mystery or something. Well, I don't think it's much secret that I'm like this huge lover of French literature, and it's my great influence and everything. And so it's a bit of an homage to French literature because it's written in a. It's not. It's very American in a way, but it's an attempt to kind of like use a lot of the things that I love about French literature in the actual writing, and also it's because it's written in this strange. That's the problem in the French translation, is it's written in English, but it's supposed to be English that's messed up by French, and so when it's in French, it becomes something very strange. I don't know, but it's about it's basically me, because the narrator is speaking French very strangely and badly, but he's trying to make it very complicated. And that's sort of me with French literature, since I don't speak French fluently, and and also because I live here, so I've been living here for quite a while now, so it's kind of a bit about living here and being a stranger and things. So yeah, it's definitely like my French novel or whatever. Yeah, like it's mostly in Paris. He lives in the Marais, the upper side of the Marais near La République, and it's also in Calais, and somewhere else that's not identified, that's in the countryside too. Yeah. But yes, most of it's in Paris, I think. Yeah, that's very old-fashioned. It's like it's old-fashioned but very messed up. So it's like me, who speaks like he's from Los Angeles in this very whatever way, pretending to speak in this kind of old-fashioned way, and yeah, there's references in the book to all these, to Sade and Bataille and all kinds of people in there, which is, people that in a way the narrator is trying to imitate when he Story of O, all kinds of strange books and things are in there. So yeah, it wasn't so. I didn't write it to make it old-fashioned, but to do all these tricks, because it has so many tricks, right? It's trying to to hide all these things and make secret passages inside the book. It's supposed to be very, very complicated and very mysterious and very unreliable. And when I started doing that, it ended up with that voice, because that's the only way I could do it, and that voice definitely is it turned out to be this kind of weird, old-fashioned, Americanized French voice, I think. When they're mentioned, it's a tribute, and Pierre Clementi's in it, and the narrator. Everyone says the narrator looks exactly like Pierre Clementi. So there's many things like that, and Isabella Gianni's in it, and was Gerard Jugnot, every pronounce names in it. So yeah, and where he lives is right where I used to live. So on Rue Saint-Ange. He learns that a boy died under mysterious circumstances. He reads it in the Le Monde, and he's fascinated by the story, and he's fascinated by the boy, and he is a cannibal, and he has theories about it, and he's excited about it. So he goes to this castle mostly to learn about this boy. But he's so wealthy because his father died, and his father left him, billions and billions and billions of euros. So he just decides, I'll buy the house because the house is interesting, and also because he becomes fond of the younger brother of the dead boy. It's really hard to explain. He supposedly goes to this castle and buys this castle at the beginning of the book. But then it turns out that the castle is maybe a fake, another building that's in Calais, and it's all very mixed up. It's supposed to be very mixed up. So the castle has all these secret passages in it, and then it turns out his house has secret passages in it, and so there's a lot of like what's real and what's not real, and it could be that the whole thing is made up, the whole thing is a lie, and he's basically just wants people to feel sympathy for him, and he's just telling these wild stories. But yeah, there's a castle, and there's a son who's maybe dead or maybe not, or may now be the mother. He dresses, maybe that he's the mother, and then the son may be his own brother. Which sounds like whatever, but when you read it, it makes sense. But there's all these connections. There's Paris, and then everything else is like these things that connect up and become kind of the same thing that are very different. So yeah, there's definitely some video game influence, and there's actually what I was thinking about a lot was the René film Providence. That's definitely in there, and also because I really love haunted houses and haunted house attractions, which are these kind of, they don't do them. They do actually have the Manoir de Paris here, but it's those kinds of places with these kind of secret tunnels and different things. So it's all just kind of mixed in there. But sure, I'm always really influenced by the way space works in video games. I'm very interested in confusion, and I'm very interested in trying to articulate confusion. And those things confuse me, and they always have, and they confuse me in different ways. So the books are different because my confusion changes. But so I don't know. And in this case, it's like this was the perfect thing because the book is about confusion, and the language is confusing, and it's about its own confusion, and so it was like kind of the perfect way to write about it. But I don't know. I just always have. I have no, it's like one of those things where if I understood why I wouldn't do it, because it's like fuel. It's like the fuel for me. It's like where I get energy from or something to write. I don't know. I just try to be incredibly serious about it, and then I've always believed in, I always believe that if you can make your art like good enough that it turns every subject matter into, it neutralizes all subject matters. So, that you can do anything as long as you make something really that you hope is great. That would turn, the subject matter I'm interested in to no different than a love story or a novel about someone who likes horses. I don't know. To me, I know it doesn't work because I still get called extreme sometimes, but I don't know. That's always been the way I feel about it. Is like because I don't go see things because of what they're about. I go see them for the art. So I don't really care what they're about. Ultimately I do, but I don't seek out things that are extreme or anything. So I'm just interested in like ways to communicate or something. So I guess I do okay. I mean, there are people who really don't like what I do, but then, it's kind of surprisingly there are people who do like that and who aren't interested in those things at all. They just like it because it's, I don't know, good or something. I don't know. It's almost a comedy. Almost, yeah. It's kind of sad sometimes, but a lot of it's kind of funny. Yeah. I mean, that's part of the game, right? I mean, because humor is a very good sedative for the reader. It relaxes the reader, so you can use, if you use humor carefully, you can hide things in it and reveal things with it in a really sneaky way. So I like that about it. Yeah, he doesn't want to be identified, right? That's his whole thing. He doesn't want people to be able to identify him. That's why he speaks like that. He wants to be completely secret. And so he has a bit of a torment about that, about people identifying him as gay, and that it clarifies him too much. So he's uncomfortable with that. I mean, and so he's constantly saying, like, if I were gay, or if I were more gay, or if, because he doesn't want people to think he is, and I don't think he identifies as that either. He just realizes that that's how he's recognized, and he realizes that because he's beautiful, he keeps talking about how beautiful he is all the time, and that gives him power, and that's how he kind of gets a lot of power, is by using his beauty on people. So, but I mean, yeah, he just doesn't want to. That's a hard one, because he can't control that. I mean, people, his sexual experiences seem to be mostly with guys, and so it's very difficult for him to say, like, I'm not, but he doesn't like the idea that people could identify him clearly like that. So that's basically his problem with it, is that. And he also, I think he's very full of himself, and he's very, upper class, and he thinks that's all very crude, and even though he does it himself, but he thinks it's all just, just kind of low and uninteresting, because he's constructs, these crazy characters and eats them and things, which are considers very aesthetic, and like an aesthetic intellectual pursuit. Yeah, the cannibal was the first thing when I was actually going to write. I wanted to write a book about cannibals, because I'd never written about cannibalism, and I was thinking about it, and that was the first thing. So that before I had anything else, I wanted to write a book about cannibals, and I spent about a year trying to figure out how to write a book about cannibalism. So, and then I eventually came to all this stuff that became TheMarbled Swarm. But yeah, I had this idea of it'd be interesting to write a book about cannibalism. So that was the very, very first thing. Yeah, I always think about haunted. I've always wanted to write a book that was like a haunted house, and that's definitely been, because I love them so much. I mean, I go to Los Angeles, at Halloween, because that's the kingdom of the haunted house attraction, and I go to like tons and tons and tons of them. Also, Giselle Vienne and I were making this. We're trying to make a haunted house as a theater piece. Now we actually are now finally doing it. It's an opera. Which would be interesting, but so yeah, it's something that I've wanted to do, is to try to replicate that experience of going through like haunted houses, not like a house that has ghosts in it, but like fake haunted houses, like attractions that are made to be they're like mazes, they're like mazes, but they have scary things in them, and you get disoriented. And I always wanted to write a book like that, and so that was definitely always there too. And that haunted house and cannibals seem like a good combination.
Do you like to confuse your reader?
Yeah, but as an adventure, not as a negative thing, not as an aggressive or sadistic thing, but because because the whole thing with confusion is that you have to have something real and honest and true inside it, and just replicate your own confusion. And your own confusion is like, it's like, to be confused with someone who isn't confused is to take away your own power, right? So I mean, you're basically making yourself weak. So I'm always interested in that. It's like if something is confused or confusing, it's like and a person comes in, well, I'm not confused, I know it. Then it's like there's a weakness, which I think is very beautiful there. So I'm interested, but also I'm an incredibly meticulous writer. I work like a million years on every sentence, so I make sure that the confusion is extremely carefully wrought. So So it's not, it's, you know, everything that seems, it's, so it just, it feels confusing, but you can figure everything out, so. But yeah, I mean, I'm interested in confusion as a kind of, is a way to get around realistic portrayals of things, as a way to sort of like see inside things, and to, you know what I mean, to be able to give people like, because confusion gives people a lot of freedom. I mean, they can do what they want with it, you know. I mean, they can decide, well, this isn't, I'm going to figure out why this is confusing, or they're going to be like, well, you know, I can get this, I don't get that. It gives readers really a lot of freedom. That's one of the reasons why I like working in it. It's because it creates this really interesting relationship with the reader. The reader has all this like room or something to use in the book. I find that extremely interesting. Yeah, definitely. I mean, ever since I started writing, that's like always. That's like I write about fantasy, you know. Basically, that's what I write about. So, but to make it to resemble reality, so that you're not sure and things. Yeah. I'm not interested in writing about reality at all. It's always fantasy. I mean, that's why people think all these horrible things happen, but they're framed and very carefully presented as fantasy always in the book. So it's like, this is not, you know, this isn't a documentary, you know. I mean, this is about fantasy. So why are you having such a hard time with it? I mean, you know, I don't get it. It's hard for me to write the first draft. That's really hard, because I'm not a very good writer. When I write, I write it's very not polished at all, because I can't do that. I mean, I can't, when I write, it's very raw. Even though it's very complicated, it doesn't make much sense. So I really don't like doing that. I don't like writing. I mean, I do it compulsively, you know, so I mean, obviously I like doing it, but I really like editing. I just want to write it, and then I spend like a year and a half editing. I love editing and revising, so. But getting that raw material out is really, really a struggle for me. But, I mean, I don't do anything else, so. It was received really well. I mean, it kind of confused people, but it's supposed to. And it's not a book like, it's not a very American book, and so, I mean, I think it's like the best thing I've ever written. I think it's my best novel, and so I kind of hoped that it would be like where people would go like, oh my God, he's actually very good. You know, like the people up, like, you know, the New York Times and stuff, and that didn't happen at all. But among really smart people, it got a very good response. I was very happy. It did very well, and people still talk about it a lot, and so you know, it wasn't like the one that made me like, you know, like a major literary figure or anything in America, but not that, you know, whatever. But it was pretty well received, you know. I mean, my books are just difficult. I always forget how difficult my books are. I forget, you know. I just think they're gonna like read it like for the art, and then it's always about like snuff and all stupid things they talk about. So it was good. We'll be really, really interested to see what happens here. It's been, you know, when I wrote it, I mean, I dreamed as I was writing it of this being published here in France, because it's my homage to France. It's like my French novel, and so I'm extremely interested to see how it works here. Like, are people going to get it in a different way, or how are they going to respond to this book that like references all these things that they know better than I know, you know. I'm actually really, really, really interested to see. I mean, you know, what the response to this book is, because it's just gonna be absolutely fascinating to me, because I was always thinking when I was writing it of like what would happen when this is published in France, you know. You know, it's because no one who's read it before really knows. I mean, a few people have read it and said, "Oh, I know where you know, when you took that drive when you went to Champ de Mars and all that stuff. I know that drive, you know." But here people can be like, you know. They know whatever that, you know, they know what Rue Saint-Ange is. I mean, it's fascinating to me to think what people are gonna do with it. So that's all. I guess it's just that I'm really, really, really interested to see what happens, and I hope there are some reactions to it. So that's all.
One of the main characters is called Jean-Paul.
Yes, and that is from you. Not a character is not you, but I used your name. Yeah, Serge too. Serge, that's Serge. Yeah, no, I used names. I just had to take names, so I take a name. There's maybe a tiny bit of you in that character, but very little. Don't worry.